All right, welcome back. Time for another quick video. I'm kind of just, for now, starting out. I'm just kind of pulling out random guns in my collection and kind of just talking about a little bit, doing some, just some of my thoughts on each gun. My plans are to start taking them out to the range and try to do some video footage at the range and shooting and all that stuff, but we'll kind of get into that later. So this one is my Savage 110 Precision. Um, this rifle is one that I probably, for my bolt actions, is probably the one that I shoot the most. I believe I have at least like 1,200 rounds through this gun. It's chambered in 223. So it's more, I consider this kind of my training rifle for the most part. So for me, I shoot 22 LR the most. Then 223 is going to be next as far as I shoot this bolt action, and then AR style rifles and things like that. Then for pistol, I shoot a lot of 9mm. I also shoot a lot of 6.5 Creedmoor for target and bolt action as well. So this rifle, it serves its purpose. It's not a cheap rifle. I'm not personally a huge fan of Savage. I say that because I've owned a few of them, not a ton, but I've had like a MK2 and 22 LR. I've had another like rimfire Savage. I bought one in a 204 Ruger, and I had another one. I think I had one in 308 at one point. But I basically got rid of all of them. The ones that I have that were blued, I ended up, no matter how much I cleaned them and all that, I'd get rust on the barrels in different areas, like especially the part where the stock, between the stock and the barrel, places I couldn't see unless I took it apart. I think, my opinion is that you get what you pay for, and then, some of the cheaper brand, not necessarily brands, because Savage has some higher end, some higher tier, and then lower tier. But in the lower tier ones, I think, you get different grades when it comes to bluing and the materials and all that stuff. So the lower tiers I've run into issues with. So I've basically and not only those issues, I've run into with all the Savage rifles that I have. I'm not a fan of their actions. I always have like feed and extraction issues. Their actions just aren't smooth, and that's the same with this one as well. But it works, and it is an accurate rifle. So I will say that all the Savage rifles that I've owned, I don't have any issue with the accuracy to them. Like, all of them are accurate. I'm just not a fan of the actions, and then the other issues I've had with rust and stuff like that. So anyway, this one, it says Savage on the chassis, but it's made by MDT. It's a pretty heavy duty gun. Other than that, I mean, it's all factory as is. The only thing I've replaced on this is the trigger, and the trigger was horrible as well, so I did switch that out with a Timney trigger. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, otherwise it's just a factory rifle. It's their precision offering, so it does have the stainless barrel on it. They say with these that the action is supposed to be blueprinted. I've seen a couple of variations in these, like whether it has this gold finish bolt or what do you call that diamond finish or whatever. I've seen on a couple of these. I don't know what years they changed them out or all that kind of information, but yeah, I mean, the action is not super smooth, and it hangs up a little bit at times. I've had some feed and extraction issues with it. Even at one point I found some like I guess, Target, or if you want to call it uh, cheaper box ammo in 223 that I bought a good bit of. And it shot fine in my AR rifles. But when I shot it out of this rifle, the firing pin was puncturing the primers. So I couldn't really shoot it out of this rifle. It seems to do fine with my hand loads. I hadn't had any issues as far as that goes, but I don't know what the problem was there. I don't know if it's just some kind of thinner or softer primers they had in those rounds. I'm wanting to say it was like, maybe it was Winchester, Target, like white box or something, 223. Maybe something like that. But I found some at a deal and I bought some just to shoot through and play around. But I really, I mainly hand load for everything now, unless I just find a good deal just for some box ammo and just shoot through it quick. Let's see, what else? As far as these chassis, it's fully adjustable. It says MDT on the pad, on the cheek rest, but that's adjustable. Then your length of pull is adjustable, of course. I believe this goes up and down as well. I don't fool too much with that. Never really had any issues with it. I like the 90-degree grip. I'm not die hard with either way, whether it's at an angle or 90 degrees. I shoot both of them. No big deal to me. Let's see, what else about this one? Oh, of course, it is topped with a Vortex Viper PST. I have the Viper PST on 2 different rifles, and I have it on one of my Premier 6.5 Creedmoor rifles as well. Just because at the time I found a pretty good deal on them. They had I think it was a sale on them. I don't know if it was at Midway or what, but they had them discounted. So I ordered 2, and like I said, one on this rifle and then one on a 6.5 Creed that I shoot a lot. Fairly good scope. I mean, I don't love it. I don't hate it. It does the job, does what it's supposed to do. This one's a 5-25 by 50. And mainly when I'm shooting this rifle, I primarily shoot 100 yards at the range that I frequent. The max distance we have there is 300 yards. So, with this rifle, I've never shot it past 300 yards, but I shoot 100 yards and 300 yards, all the time. My goal and dream is to shoot a much further distance at some point. I want to get into ELR. Right now, really, the max distance I shoot at all is 500. So there was another range that I was shooting 500 yards, but that's the furthest I've ever shot. I just don't have an area around where I have the ability to shoot further than that. The part about that'll change is in Clinton, South Carolina, they have the Clinton House, and they have the longer ranges there. I think it's about an hour and a half away from me. So, I plan to, at some point, start going there. I think for the regular ranges, you have to have a membership, and then they have 1 day a month where you can come and try to shoot the mile if you pay like $75, something like that. So eventually my goal is to get there and start doing, I want to try to shoot a mile, and I've got a rifle actually on order that I'm going to put together for that purpose. But anyway, back to this one. That's going to be future stuff. I can't remember the barrel length on this one. Is probably 25, I think, somewhere around there, maybe. I don't know. This is the factory muzzle brake that it came with, so I just kind of left that there. It's 223, so as heavy a rifle as it is already, I don't even think you would need the muzzle brake on it at all, but it came with it, so I just left that on there. But yeah, like I said, super fun rifle to shoot. Came with the 20 MOA rail on it, and it's super accurate. I mean, I can basically, I would consider this gun a half MOA gun. From what I'm shooting with my hand loads, I've got a pretty good load developed for it, and and it's pretty accurate. And it's like I said, it's my only complaints are just the actions. It's not smooth. It kind of catches at times, and then some feed and extraction issues. Every now and then it just won't extract right, and then sometimes it'll jam up, won't feed, and I'll have to drop the mag. But it's just one of those things. I've run into that. I haven't owned a Savage personally that didn't have those issues, but I haven't owned a lot of them. I've had a few. So take that for what you will, and just my opinion. But if you are looking into a trainer rifle, and you want to look at 223 or they make this, this same rifle in other calibers as well. I wouldn't really hesitate on buying it, if you have the money. I mean, like I said, it does what it's supposed to, and it is accurate. So I guess that's the most important things. You can probably live with the other issues as I do. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions or comments on this one, and I'll get back with you on it. Thanks for watching.